Small update. I still haven't made the replacement feet for the bottom of the cab, and until I do that, the little board I've made to hold the electronics in the base of the cab is in the air on that back corner because the nails that are poking back up through that need to be hammered into blocks once I make the replacement blocks for the foot levelers. But wanted to show what I've got. I got my transformer, I've got a line filter, I've got a fuse holder. So power comes in from the hole on the left side of the cabinet. Power cord then goes into the hot black wire, goes to the fuse. The fuse and the white wire from the power cord then go to a switch. There's a switch plate that I made out of a piece of metal that originally that switch was housed in from the Merit Pit Boss bar top. So then we've got the on-off switch from that Pit Boss, and it's got both of the white and black wires, power wires going into it. It's got a varistor on it for power spike protection, and then it comes back along there. It goes into the line filter. The line filter goes over to that plug, which then takes it to connectors that will go on the switching power supply. And then the wires go back into the transformer. The black and white twisted pair there go to the monitor. And then those wires that are hanging off there originally went to a bridge rectifier that then loops back to a connector that's coiled up currently down there that provided 12 volts DC for light bulbs. So I've got that piece made, but again, it's not bolted in because I still have to make the bottom feet. It's my main holdup right now. But the reason I was making this video apart from that is what I just discovered literally 5 minutes ago. Actually, first I'll show this too, since this is the other thing I'm working on. I've started working on the control panels again. I don't have original two-way controls, so I'm just using Japanese joysticks for now. I've decided to just wire up the flap buttons with leaf switches. Each control panel has a second switch, and on this player side, extra switch, original flap switch, and then on the player one side, it's original flap switch and then extra switch. So I'm just going to have the flap switches wired up and not the extra switch, but I'm leaving a button in there that matches the color of this button because there is a big hole in the control panel, and I figure maybe that looks a little bit better than having a hole or having just some gray Bondo. I can't really fill the Bondo flush with the top of this because this is the reverse screen printed plexiglass, so it wouldn't be really level if I tried to get it up to that height and maybe paint it blue so it's, you know, kind of blends in better. I figure it's better off just leaving it like that for now. Did Bondo work on this panel so that I could put a leaf switch in there because the hole was drilled all the way through. So I filled the bottom of the hole and then drilled some of it so that a leaf switch will go in, because leaf switches don't use a single diameter hole. There's a step down for the narrower threaded part. So that's what I did, and currently, like I said, I've wired up the bulb holders, and I used self-tapping screws there. Those are the hex head type that also can accept a flat blade screw. I forgot that I also had in with my pinball spare parts, similar, that don't have the hole or the slot in the top for a flat blade screw. These can be found at regular hardware stores. But the reason I thought that this is the type of screw that was used to hold those light bulbs in is because that's what's used in the coin door. so I figured it was the same thing. And until I found, I've got 2 reference photos of an original Joust cocktail, and they used black oxide Phillips head screws with like almost like a built-in washer. So it's not just the round head of the screw. There's also a flat circular area like a built-in washer type thing that they used. And the wire clamps that are used on this game are still made, but I can't find who makes them. So I bought some from Marco Specialties. Various pinball part sellers have them for Williams pinball machines. They're the exact same match. They're a white nylon, and they're 1/4 inch, and they have some small ridges on them, exactly like what were originally used here. So even though I've got wire clamps and it's on the bottom of the control panel, and who gives a darn, for some reason, 36 cents each, I decided to buy some so that I could put the, see, there's 1, 2, 3, possibly 4, at least 3 on each control panel that are used. So I bought some of those. Marco also has the black oxide screws, but they're number 6 screws, and I'm not sure if these originally were number 6 or number 8. The screws are also 36 cents each, so I bought some of those too. And if they're too small, I can just get from Amazon a whole bunch of number 8 1/4 inch self-tapping black oxide screws for that. So the big news why I'm making this video today is what I just found literally a few minutes ago. If you remember, this is the front of the coin door slot and player 1, 2 start. And I've been doing some work on that. I have a .062 Molex connector that I believe I have got the pinout correct, matching the original. Again, not that it matters if I don't have the original wiring harness, but I think that's wired up the same as the original Joust cocktail, with the exception that this does not have a coin coil, lockout coil. So there would be a red wire that goes to pin, I believe it's pin 9 on this connector for the power to power the coil here, and then the ground that goes to all of the switches also looks like it went to that coil lockout. And I chose not to wire that up because it's missing, and depending on what type of coin mech you get, you might have to bend it out of the way to get it to fit, and it might not work with the coin mech. So I just decided to leave it like that and not have those extra wires since I'm not using them. So, big news. Super cool news. Okay. So, all the photos and videos I've taken of this cabinet have had this there, and I thought, well, that is really weird. It looks like an old tax stamp, amusement license tag, but it's completely white, and there's no indentations. So, you know, what kind of tax amusement license is, you know, made out of stuff that it's completely smooth and can get wiped off? So what I decided is I didn't like that there with the big screws that were holding it on, because it was just blank. It didn't have any information on it. So I took them off to just have it look a little bit, I don't know, a little bit better, I think, than a big blank white tag. And I flipped the tag over and found this. Expires 1983 amusement license. That might be the original license that was put on this game, the first one ever. Could be. So that is definitely going back on that door. That will be going back on. That is super cool. Way cooler than a blank white tag. That is pretty freaking cool. So that made me get my camera out and say, okay, I gotta film this because that's a trip. That's cool. So there you go. Making progress. The main power, like I said, is pretty much done down there. Joysticks, yeah, I know it's not original sticks, but I still am trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with the sticks. And nothing I'm doing here is doing any damage that hasn't already been done. I'm just using existing holes. The holes for the original joysticks are still in here, so these can be taken out and original 2A sticks put in. I haven't damaged anything, but this way at least it'll give me sticks that are usable and a button that is usable so that I can temporarily or permanently or whatever wire it for JAMA and put a J-Rock board in there so it'll play Joust. I did get my extensions for these joystick shafts. So I got 15mm extensions because these joystick balls were really close to the control panel, but now I think they're a bit too high. I can't remember how high the original ones were, but I think that 15mm extension is too much, and a 5 or 10 would probably get it closer in line to what it originally was. But I do think this is kind of better than how low it was. It was super low, scraping your hands on the panel to use the joystick. So again, I'm not doing any damage to this. I'm using holes that were already there to get this going. The same thing with the power block and the base of the cab. That's obviously not the original power block. Cocktail jousts have a different power block than upright jousts. It's closer to a Defender power block than a Joust power block. But this, putting that power block in there in a non-destructive way, again, I'm not damaging anything or altering the cabinet. I'm using existing holes, existing wire routes to get this thing up and playing Joust. So there we go. There's the update. How awesome is that?